Okay, yay, welcome. Welcome to our Focus Forward series. We are on week 4, but before we officially kick off week 4, let's recap a little bit, okay? So last week, or the very first week, we talked about discovering your why. And I know many of you are still even journaling and praying through and processing and having coaching calls with us, your directors, about discovering your why, having that clear purpose. Because when the vision and the purpose are clear, that is what is going to form where all of our energy goes, where our focus goes. It makes the answers to all of the other questions easier. And so I love the ongoing conversations that we're having about that. In week 2, we talked about lead generation. So obviously working from our sphere of influence, people who we already know. We've got the people that we know like really, really well, the people that we kind of know, the people that we know through other people that we know. And then we have people that we have not met yet at all. And those are people, Tanya and Cheryl did such a phenomenal job of talking about a variety of ways for you to choose from to just get yourself out there, to make new connections and to network with people who want what you have to offer, because you have so much to offer. And so you figured out what are going to be your 2, maybe 3 focuses in the next few months to really get the ball rolling of meeting new people outside of your sphere of influence, as well as working with that list and growing that contact list of the people that you already know. And then last week, week 3, we talked about designing your life, having time management skills that work for you. And so the assignment this past week was to kind of start making your list of what are the things that you do, right? What are all of your responsibilities? What are the things that you do for yourself, spiritually, emotionally, physically? What are the things that you do for your family? Where does your time go? And to create that list of the intentional things that you know you want and need to have in your weekly plan sheet. And then also to really just track your week. Take a look at it. Just like if I was going to meet with a personal trainer and health coach, one of the first things they would probably do was tell me to track everything I eat. In fact, we have Noom app, and that's one of the big parts is that you track everything you eat, because sometimes we just don't eat. We're not even aware of our habits. We're not even aware of the things that we do that honestly you deserve to pat yourself on the back. Remember last week we talked about like really give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, now do this side, pat yourself on the back, because you probably are doing so much right. You are doing so many things right. And there might be some things that you are doing that are not serving you. And so just having awareness around that. And so before we move into this next week's lesson, we want to give ourselves a time to really look back and say, okay, what have I learned so far? So does anyone have anything that you would like to share about what this last week's homework assignment, or maybe even the ones that you've been building on, right? These are designed to build on each other. It's not just I only do this and then the next week I only do this. Each week you're building and growing in those skills. So we just want to open up an opportunity to hear your feedback on what are you learning and how have these assignments been serving you, and how can you encourage your sister consultants to really plug in and get involved in the exercises, not just listening, but actually connecting with the assignments.
Well, this is Joyce. I have the lead jars. I put my lead jars. My lead jars have been out since the end of October of last year, and I some weeks I'll do good and get 2 or 3, and some weeks there's a few more, and some weeks there's none. But 2 weeks ago, I got 5 leads, so I immediately got on the phone, called them up. Out of the 5 leads, I scheduled 3 for appointments. The first one canceled the day before hers was due. So I said, well, let's reschedule. So I rescheduled her for the following Friday. And then Wednesday came and the Wednesday one canceled. I said, oh, okay. No, I still have the people. I still got Thursday and Friday. I'm still going to do good this week. Well, then Thursday morning, I got up and sent a reminder text to the lady on Thursday, and within 30 minutes, she canceled. Well, I had already gotten up. I was full makeup, Mary Kay attire, the whole bit, room set up for the skincare class. And I'll have to admit, my pink balloon was losing a bit of air. But I said, hey, it's Thursday. Okay, I need to go check the lead jars again. So I went out, checked the lead jars, got 6 new leads. I won't say I have 2 appointments yet because they're supposed to call me back, but I'm calling them tomorrow. But I wasn't like totally disappointed, but I was just a little bit deflated. Mm-hmm. And then when I went out and ironically, it was like the 8th place that I stopped that had 4 leads in the jar, and I was going, oh, okay, this will work. And my balloon was reinflated. Yeah. So that was the lead jars are starting to produce, and I guess what I'm trying to say is don't be discouraged if you've got 15 jars out there. Unfortunately, I only have 9. I'm still working on getting some more jars in, but if you have 15 out there and you don't get any leads for a couple of weeks, don't think it's because you did something wrong. You may need to reevaluate where the jar is in the business. You may need to have, you need to just touch base and say, ask them, hey, is anyone noticing the jar here? Do I need to, do something to highlight it? Something like that. Ask, partner with the business that you're in there for and see if they can't just say, I had one of the ladies say, well, why don't we move it over here? Maybe more people would see it over here. So, because, it doesn't cost them anything to be nice to you, and it doesn't cost you anything to be nice to them. So that's my 2 cents on lead jars.
So good. And that's what the lead jars do, is it gives you the numbers so that the magic can happen, right? We need the mathematics, we need the numbers so that the magic can happen. And we're going to have cancellations and postponements. And so that's why you don't need to be afraid about overbooking yourself, because everybody has cancellations and postponements. Airlines, restaurants, the dentist. I even had my ring light has taken on a life of its own. It's like flashing at me. I've got my own paparazzi going on over here. But I do not flake on appointments. And I had a miscommunication with a personal trainer that I'm starting with. And I thought we had kind of penciled in that we were going to meet, but that we were going to touch base in the middle of March. And then March kind of got away from me. And so I was going to text her yesterday. And she texted me in the morning before I got to her and said, oh, I really missed you last week. Well, and she thought it was like, for sure I was coming. My mom and I were like tentatively booked to come and start training with her. And I just apologized. It was just a misunderstanding. And I said, I'm so sorry. I did not realize you were expecting us. That is completely my fault. So I totally flaked on her, and it wasn't even on purpose. And so just understand that people are going to get busy, and that for you, Mary Kay might be in the top 3 to 5 priorities in your life, but for her, it's not even in the top 6. And that's okay, because, that you can just stay in front of her. That's so valuable, Joyce. Thank you. Anybody else have like an aha moment or making some progress that you want to share? Yeah, Nicole. I see you, Nicole.
I'll share. So I don't know most of you, but I quit teaching last year to stay at home with my 2 little guys, and they're 4 and 1.5. So it's a party over here all the time. Yes. so working my business at the same time, like not having that job, my full-time job anymore, and trying to figure out where this fits in and how to fit it in has been a real struggle. So I took what you guys said about, making sure you have focus that very first week. And so when I think, oh, I'll just go work on some Mary Kay stuff for a little bit, like, no, I will make a list, and there will be 6 things on that list, and I will do them. So I have to remind myself, I have to make a list. And then I sat down with that calendar stuff this week and started to figure out, okay, where do I actually have time? Because toddlers, don't always do the schedule thing like I want them to. So it's like, okay, where can I squeeze it in? Where does it fit? And so I found some time throughout the day, and I had more than I realized, I guess.
That's
more than I was giving myself.
Absolutely. Finding those secret little nuggets of time that maybe you just weren't even aware were happening, and also giving yourself a lot of flexibility, because when you have toddlers, it's so much of it is, what can I do? Being really present with them. And I learned with my boys that if I would give my boys so much attention, especially my older one. It's like, I love you, 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 I love you. Let me give you all of the touching and all of the feeling and all of the attention, until I was like smothering them at the beginning, like for like a 30 minutes to an hour. And then it was like, and release. And they would maybe give me 30 minutes of like not wanting to be in my space and not eating anything, and then it was like, love you until you can't stand it anymore. And then release, let me go make a phone call, definitely getting creative about what are the things that I can do with toddlers and nurse. Like I was like, all of my phone calls were made during when I was nursing, because that was the only time they were quiet and still and not needing something else. So you get really creative, and then like every 3 months it changes because their schedule changes. And so giving yourself permission for the rhythms and the fluidity is really great. And then getting really disciplined when you actually have someone else to watch them and you're totally free of them is like key. For sure. And you've got directors who all have done this business with children of different ages. So we are in your corner, girl. Great. We've got time for maybe one more. Anybody else have an aha moment or something? Sarah, yes.
Hey, so I have an aha moment. Mine was actually reaching out to my leads, because I've had my lead jars out for quite a while, and I absolutely love them because they can do the work while I'm working. And so I finally just decided to grab a bunch of them, and I called them. I called about 25 customers. I texted them and I did the voice to text. And right off the bat, I booked 3 appointments. I held 1 virtual appointment, and it was 150 in sales. So she bought the skincare, the microdermabrasion, and the foundation. So real good steady base, which I'm super excited about. And then today I followed up with my second touches, and I booked 2 more appointments. So just consistency and just doing it.
I love it. Damn, that is so great. Fabulous. Well, ladies, keep up the good work. Remember to join in on our Voxer group and give us those, we love hearing, how is it going? Any questions that you have, encouraging each other to success. So thank you so much, all of you who shared. I so appreciate that. And so I'm passing this over now to Cheryl, who is going to kick us off for this week's lesson. Y'all get ready. It is going to be so, so good.
Okay, so this week we're talking about booking. And I know that booking can be a very intimidating and sometimes scary part of our business. I will probably guarantee you that there are not very many people in this business, even those of us that have had many successes and that have done this for a really long time, that actually completely enjoy the booking process. It takes a little bit of time to get into it, to really enjoy that process. But without this piece of our business, we don't have appointments. We don't create customers. And so, we've taught you how to have focus, how to manage your time, how to generate leads to have people to book, how to really open up your eyes to your sphere of influence. Tonight is all about, we got names. What do we do now? Right? Oh my goodness. So we're going to make it as simple as we can, because there is a process to booking. And everybody in different stages of their businesses are scheduling appointments. Booking really just means scheduling appointments. That's it. What's the art of scheduling appointments, right? You're going to have different types of people based on all of the ways that we talked about. How do you know people? How can you meet people? In a way of, it's going to be slightly different on how you talk to them. But in those slight differences, everything is the same. So I am here tonight to talk to you about the anatomy of a booking script. And once we learn what important elements go into a booking script, we can create something that sounds really great for whatever scenario that we're in. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of comfort in this. When I am done talking about this, Reagan is going to go over a resource booking workbook that is available that really has some scripts and some different suggestions for different types of people. But what I want you to understand before we get to that is that if you can understand what's important going into how you ask people, you will have that confidence to be able to book anybody at any time without reaching out to your director, which we're totally always here to be like, what do I say? Here's how I met her, or this isn't working, or anything like that. And so also to bring you comfort, this page that I have taken my own notes that I'm going to read off of is in the workbook, the booking workbook that Reagan is going to go over. And it is called The Anatomy of a Call or In-Person Script. Notice that I took notes on the bottom. This is going to be similar, but this is my experience that I'm bringing to you. So I do recommend, please have your notebook and a pencil. I would love for you to take notes on the way that I have really understood how to design a booking script for myself. And it ties in 90% to what you will see in the workbook, okay? So there are pieces of a booking script. The first thing I want to say is that you don't do all of these pieces all the very first time you pick up the phone or the first text message that you send. You don't hit points 1 through 7, right? Or however, I have 7 points, all right? There is a conversational process, whether you are making a phone call or sending a text message, sending a Facebook Messenger message. You know, we all have different comfort zones of how we communicate, and the people that we speak to have different comfort zones of how they communicate. So you want to also master the art of how can I take this concept of a script and either make a phone call with it, send a text message, or talk over Facebook Messenger. Because all of those in this day and age are all very viable ways of doing that. And there are generations that will not answer their phone. There are generations that will not text. There are people that don't have Facebook. And so we need to kind of meet people where they want to be in their communication, right? And it differs for us as beauty consultants, and it differs for the customer base that we're reaching out to. So understanding those communication styles. But let's get into these 7 points of that booking script, okay? Number 1 is an enthusiastic and professional greeting. Okay, the enthusiasm really comes in if you are making a phone call. Like you might want to get yourself jazzed up and do some jumping jacks, and have, Mary Kay always said, have a mirror like where you're smiling and you're just like, I'm going to be super friendly, because people, enthusiasm is contagious. And outside of the Mary Kay Pink bubble, it's not always a happy world out there, right? So we want to bring that joy and that enthusiasm as we are very excited to tell the person on the other side what we're doing, what we have to offer, what they entered for, whatever it is. Okay, there's lots of scenarios. If it's over text, you might have to throw in just maybe an emoji or two, right? Show some emotion and some enthusiasm. And it's really very simple. You're going to say their name and who you are, basically, right? And by the way, when I get done with these 7 points very quickly, I'm going to kind of read from one of my text booking scripts on how I book facial jar leads, so you can see how this flow works, all right? And then Reagan will get into kind of the different scenarios and what's in that workbook for you. So that's number 1, enthusiastic and professional greeting, all right? Number 2 is the purpose, why you're contacting them. So you've already said who you are. So not only the purpose, but if you do not know them. So if they're coming from your sphere of influence, they know you, right? So some of these Beginning parts, you can cut corners. They know who you are. When you don't know these people, you have to be a little bit more forthcoming with information in the beginning of your script, right? How did you meet them? Remind them, did they enter your facial jar? Did you meet them at a networking event? Did you meet them in the Target checkout line? Are they a referral from one of your customers? Like all of those things. Number 2 is purpose, how you met them. Okay. So again, I'll kind of go over how that flows, but that's number 2. So in your very first initial contact with somebody, you want to combine number 1 and 2 together. That's what I have found is successful, is I start with number 1 and 2. Okay. So I let them know who I am with that enthusiasm. I let them know what my purpose is, how I met them, basically why I'm reaching out to them. Okay. And always, you guys, end in a question. Whatever question you can create at the end of each one of your, whether you're on the phone or whether you're via text or any sort of communication, because then it's not just a statement that they're like, I don't know what to do with that. They answer it, you know. Would you prefer that I call you or text you with the details? How does that sound? Would you prefer this? Da, 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 da. Like you're always ending in a question because it's prompting them to respond to you. Big tip there, all right? So if you're creating a script, don't just end with a statement and they're like, cool, thanks, right? And you're like, well, that didn't work. All right, so 1 and 2 will be your first, okay? Number 3, you want to let them know what to expect. And this is where you really romance what you have to offer them. Now, we offer pretty much the same thing, right? We offer these fabulous skincare appointments or a fabulous makeover appointment, but the way in which we can talk about them can be romanced in different ways. And so I find that I have really worked on mastering the art of why do they want to get together with me? Why is this going to be like the best appointment ever or the best event that my director's holding or whatever that is? Like, what is in it for them? What's the purpose? Why do they want to get together with me, right? So that's number 3. Number 4 is actually getting her on your schedule, all right? This includes the time and location, all right? And so you are, this is hard for me to do without like giving you my words, but I promise I'm gonna get there and I'm gonna do that in just a minute. The art of getting somebody scheduled is always giving 2 choices at a time, no more than 2, because it's confusing, for a time and location. So basically I could say, well, I hold my beauty sessions either in my home or in your home. Which would you prefer? It gives her 2 choices, right? Oh, your home, that sounds great. Okay, great. Would you prefer during the week or on the weekend? The weekend. Okay, great. Saturday or Sunday? Saturday? Okay, this Saturday, next Saturday. So again, making those 2 choices until you're narrowing her down into a time and location based on when you want to work, based on that weekly plan sheet that you filled out, that you know when you want to hold your appointments, okay? You are in control. Don't just say what works for you. No, that's just going to open up a can of worms. You're going to be working when you don't want to work. She doesn't know when she wants to get together. It's just, you want to take that control by doing that, okay? So that's number 4, is getting her scheduled with the time and location. All right, so I told you that points 1 and 2 should be in your first message, right? Well, points 3 and 4 should be in that second message. You should tell her, you should get her so excited. This is what we're doing. This is what you get. This is what you entered for. This is the event we're having. So what works for you? This or this? When would you like to get together? This or this? It depends on whether it's an event or where you hold your appointments, right? And so you're going to romance it and book her all in that same one. And she's going to be like, oh my gosh, this sounds so exciting. I think a Saturday would be great. All right. After she is scheduled for next Saturday at 2 o'clock at my house, I've accomplished all of that right now. Okay. She's excited. I'm excited. I've sold the appointment. I've got her on my schedule. Then number 5, then I tell her that she can invite some friends, right? And so I'm taking her individual appointment and I'm getting her real excited that she can bring her girlfriends along and that it's complimentary for them too. And who do you know that would really enjoy this fabulous experience that you're going to be having with me? That is the art of taking a facial and turning it into a party. 9 times out of 10, she's like, oh my gosh, let me see if my sister can come, or my daughter and this, and you're having parties without even really being like, I'm booking a party, right? You want to make it easy for them. They are already excited to get together with you, and they're just bringing their friends along. That is what I have personally found works out beautifully. Okay. So that's kind of all on its own. That's a step in and of itself. Is there, who could you think of that would really enjoy joining you next Saturday at 2? She's going to tell you then. She's going to have to think about it. You're going to have those conversations. You're going to have to include that in kind of your confirmation, your follow-up, your communication during the process. Okay. Number 6, you want to confirm, you want to have a follow-up plan. Means like, okay, I'm so excited. I have you scheduled at my home. Here's my address. It's Saturday at 2 o'clock. I know that you were going to work on inviting your sister and your best friend. So I'm going to be in touch to make sure they can make it. Like, you are just being that professional to give all those details and that confirmation that, number 1, that you're excited. Number 2, that you will be in contact. Number 3, all of that kind of stuff. Okay. So having that sort of plan. Okay. That all goes in one with number 7, which is that thank you and the excitement at the end. This is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to meet you, or I can't wait to get together. Whatever that looks like, I will be in touch in the next few days. That is what I view as the anatomy of any booking script, no matter who you're talking to, whether it's your best friend, your college roommate, or whether it's somebody that put their name in a lead jar. Okay. And again, if I were to take all of that information and spout it off on a phone call all in one, she's going to be like, whoa, what? Or if I'm just like, well, all of these things, you will learn the process through trial and error, just like I have over the last 15 years, of what works for your personality and what gets you the best results. But I'm trying to relay this information based purely on experience of how I tweak things just to get the right question, the right words to be able to do that. So I printed out at least the first couple of points, okay? Because I write my scripts. I have them if I'm texting them so that I can copy and paste them. If I am making phone calls, I have them in front of me as a guide. I recommend that. When I get nervous, I tend to ramble when I'm on the phone, right? And so that's just a habit of mine. And so I like to have it as a guide. When I am doing text booking, I like to have it to copy and paste, whether it's in the notes section of your phone or it's on your computer because you have a different kind of like texting system. Whatever it is, it's like, oh, this is easy. I say this, then I say this, then I copy and paste this, then I do this. So here's what it sounds like when I text book somebody from one of my facial jars. It says, hi, Reagan, this is Cheryl with Mary Kay. You registered your name in my pampering jar for a microdermabrasion beauty experience at Ma's Tea House, and I'm contacting you with all the details to get that set up. Is it better to text or call you with the details? And I wait for a response. And she says, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Text is great. I'm at work, whatever she says. Okay, so once she responds, I say, okay, great. It's a complimentary hour-long beauty package for you. Your instructional facial would include our best anti-aging skincare line customized for your skin type, an age-defying microdermabrasion treatment, a hand treatment, a lip treatment, and professional foundation matching, plus a dash out the door makeup look. I had it to where it used to say virtual, so I'm going to say this because if you prefer virtually with samples, it's a few less things to try, but I can do that as well. How does that sound? I ended with a question. She can say, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Then I say, okay, great. If you prefer in person, that would be here in my home or in your home. Which would you prefer? And I go into that booking process. So I think the most important part of that example is how I get her to respond to me in the beginning. Okay. How I romance the appointment so that she is excited to continue the conversation with me. Everything else is a good skill to have. The give 2 choices, the tell her she can invite friends, but without those first few things of grabbing her attention and pulling her in, whether it's a friend you're inviting to the next makeover event, or whether it's, like I said, a referral or a lead jar that you don't know, that you're romancing that appointment. Why does she want to have a Mary Kay facial with you? And so that is how I do it. And I do it the same over and over and over. And if I find that I'm not getting the results that I want, then I might tweak one or two things to get the response that I want. But that overall is the anatomy of a booking script. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Reagan so she can kind of dive in more to this resource that we have for you of what that could look like, give you some words, and go from there. So Reagan, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
So good, y'all. Was that not so good? I love it. It takes the guesswork out of it, and it helps us to see when we look at the different scripts that we are given. It really, they do all follow the same anatomy, and it's what Mary Kay always taught us. And so, you know, what's in it for them, and to have them feel that enthusiasm. So good, Cheryl. Thank you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up our the booking handbook, and I'm just going to review it so that you can see this tool that's provided for you. You may have already received it from your director, or she's going to email it, or she's going to post it in your Facebook group. Let me share. Oh, hold on. Let me share the screen here. Okay, so this is the workbook. Now, our unit, Empowered Consultants, you know that you've already been given access to this. It is in our Google folders, and it's been emailed, and it's in our Facebook links and all of that stuff. So you know how to access that. I love this very first page. I put this in here on purpose because this, if you are new to sales, if you've never, when I started my Mary Kay business, I mean, I never did anything in sales other than Girl Scout cookies. And so this was just all, like, it helped me so much with my perspective and my expectation. So 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. I have absolutely been guilty of this. I have gone to events, networking events, come home with a stack of business cards and never done a thing with them. And so obviously that was not a great use of my time. And then and then if you wonder why you're not getting any results in your business and why you're not booking, it's like, well, are you actually reaching out to the contacts that you have? 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. So if you reach out to someone and they don't respond, it is your job to reach out to them again. And most people, 25%, will even make that second one and then they stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. And only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 3% of sales are made on the second contact. 5% of sales are made on the third contact. 10% are made on the fourth. 80% of sales are not made until at least 5 points of contact. 80%. Lisa Madsen, National Sales Director Lisa Madsen, would always say the fortune is in the follow-up. Okay, it's the follow-up, the follow-up, the follow-up. Now, we do not teach, and we are not a culture or a company that is all about don't take no for an answer and sell ice to Eskimos, sell people whether they want it or not. That is not what we are teaching here. What we are teaching is that it is our job, it is our role to be pleasantly persistent and to pursue the person who we want to have contact and communication with. And again, understanding that Mary Kay is in the top 3 to 5 of your priorities, but it is not in the top 3 to 5 of their priorities. So it is absolutely normal for them to see your text, mean to respond, or get your voicemail, think about calling you back, or get your business card or goodie bag or samples, and be fixing to get ready to try to start thinking about getting back to you. And then they just don't. And it's not because they don't like you or because they don't want what you have to offer, because most likely she's washing her face with something. Right? So it's not like she doesn't want what you have. It's just a matter of catching her at the right time and being pleasantly persistent. And so underneath that, it has even more recommendations of people that may be in your sphere of influence that you haven't thought of yet. And then the next couple of pages in this workbook are what we've already given you as the contact list. Okay, so you've got 2 pages here to create your contact list of at least 100 names. And if you are able to come up with this like super fast, you are ready to rock and roll. It doesn't mean you don't need to or shouldn't consider having facial jars out there and things like that, but it may not be as much of a I'm trying to think of the word, not an emergency, but it's like you've got some people to work with. If you are really struggling and you only have 20 people on your list, then that just goes to show you that you really are going to want to prioritize getting outside of your sphere of influence faster, and maybe have have at least 2 or 3 other ways to meet new people outside of your sphere of influence. But a few months ago was when we kind of started working on this. Some of my consultants that I've been doing coaching calls, and we had our contact list. And Joyce is a great example of this, because she had, I think she had 26, and then she got to 34, and it was really kind of taking a while to get that list going. And then we had a conversation about getting on Facebook and looking at who are her friends that are on Facebook, and then going into their friends and finding the people that she actually knows. This is not cold calling, cold Facebook messaging. This was finding friends of her friends, and she reconnected, and now her list is, 176, I think. 176, almost 100 of them with phone numbers. She actually has their phone numbers, and the rest of them, she has some way to contact them, even if it's just through Facebook. And these are people that she has known at one point: high school, work, church. She knew these people at one point and just lost touch, and she's reconnected with them. And so that's just another idea to quickly beef up that list. And I can share a training that is phenomenal about how to effectively and authentically reconnect with people. Again, not cold messaging them. Hey, I know I haven't seen you for 20 years, but I want to tell you something, right? And so that is something that I can share in our Voxer group as an added resource for how to connect with people that you know, but maybe you just don't see all the time anymore. The next page on here is the bubble tracking sheet. And so you can see here that this is just simply, if you just want to, if you're there's a couple of ways you can do this. The way that I recommend using this tracking sheet is putting her name. Once I've reached out to them, I put her name in this little bubble. Okay. And then I put a 1 line. And then if she said, and then this is something that Cindy and I were talking about, is to make a star. So I'm going to let me draw this real quick. Okay, so let's say this, hold on, I need to see myself so that I can tell if I'm holding this up correctly. Okay, so let's say this is one bubble, and, hold on, this is one bubble, and it has my name on it, all right? So I reach out to her, and that's one attempt. And then I try again, that's another attempt, then another, then another. So this is what I'm doing as I make my attempts. So I can account for all of my attempts. Okay. Then if she says no, I would, so you might even change this a little bit, but if she says no, I might just write a big no on it. I don't know if you can even see that. And then once she's booked, I can fill it in. Okay. So you can create your own key, but that's a way that I can use this one piece of paper, and I can track her, all of the numbers that I've called and how many times I've called them. Okay. The next page on here is the 100 No's challenge. So that is just something that's really fun, because when you are in this business, you are going to get a lot of no's. In fact, you will get probably 50 to 75% of no's. Here's the deal. Every single person who is wildly successful in their business including Mary Kay, has those exact same statistics as you do. Okay. And so it's getting to that point of where the no's don't bother you and that you don't take it personally, because it's not personal. They're not saying no to you. They are saying no to whatever it is that you're offering. And the thing is in many cases, they're not even saying no to what you're offering. They don't even know what they're saying no to. They're saying no to the idea of what they think it is that you're offering. And that's okay, right? And oftentimes we think they're saying no and they're not even saying no. They're just not responding. So we take no response as a no. We take a not right now as a no. We take a, oh, I'd love to, but I'm not sure I can afford it as a no. And so we're creating a lot of no's in our head that aren't even actually there. And so making sure, actually going for the no, like, I'm not going to stop until you tell me no. And something that my mom, our national sales director, taught me is to say, you know, she's like, oh gosh, I'd love to, but I'm just really busy right now. Okay, no problem. Is it okay if I invite you next time I'm doing something that I think you would have fun at? You know, something, can I keep reaching out to you, you know, whenever I think that we're doing something you would enjoy? And so you're actually letting her know, like, I'm going to follow up with you. And in fact, in these scripts that we're about to give you, it says, if I don't hear back from you, I'll reach out to you next week. You know, I'll check back in with you. And so that's something else that I learned is, and this is what Cheryl was saying, is ask, you know, end with a question so that they can respond. So this is the anatomy of the call, like what Cheryl did her class on. So that is all in here. And asking the question, giving them the opportunity to say yes, but also giving them the opportunity to say no. And if they don't say no, then that means that it is your job to now follow up with them. All right. I mean, my dentist, I can't even tell you how many times their communication is outstanding, because they're constantly reminding me, you know, when we're due for our teeth cleaning. And then I'm even on a list where if they get a last minute cancellation, I could probably ask to be removed from this list, but I get an email saying we have an opening tomorrow at 10 a.m. It's like, so I can just delete the email. I'm not offended that they're letting me know that there's an opening. If I want to get unsubscribed, I can. But how brilliant is that? That they actually had a contact list of all their patients. And when they have a spot that needs to be filled, they could just blast out, hey, I've got an opening, you know? And so what we're doing is we're being professionals. We're doing our job. All right. We're not bugging anybody. So then the next part of this workbook, it does break it down. So if you're a brand new consultant and you are doing your power start and you're just getting started, it has the communication for you to reach out every couple of days. And then again, see how it says here, if I don't hear from you, I will follow up with you in 3 days. All right. And so it gives you what to say if it's a voicemail, what to say if it's a text on the first attempt. Then you wait a few days and you have the next attempt. Then you wait a few days and you have the next attempt. And then what do you say when she answers? Okay. The next one is a seasoned consultant. What is something that you can say? So you can be like, so remember Cheryl said, why are you calling? What is your purpose? It's a new year. It's spring cleaning time. I've got this great thing. So what is it? There's always a reason to connect and to reconnect. So even if you've been in this business a long time, a woman really should get facialed once or twice a year of just checking in. How is your skincare routine? Absolutely. When the seasons change, this is a great time to say, hey, we're heading into spring. It's about to be summer. Want to make sure that, our skincare needs change in the seasons. And they're like, they do? Yes. Absolutely. In the winter, we need a lot more moisture. In the summer, we might need something a little bit more lightweight. We need to make sure we're getting SPF every single day. We have our after sun gel. We've got specific products that are seasonal. You might want more waterproof options. I had one of my customers that was leaving for Mexico, and she's like, I'm leaving for Mexico for spring break. What do I need to waterproof myself? And she was like, just give me what I need. And she just had me fill a bag of everything I thought she might possibly want to have in Mexico. That was fun. You got to love those calls. That was super fun. And so this gives you that. The next one is referrals from customers. So asking your customers for referrals and how to then reach out to them. Warm chatter leads. All right. So these are the surveys that Cheryl and Tanya talked about. If you do a skincare survey, you were out and about, you were meeting someone. And again, you can tweak these. Did you give her a sample or not? You might tweak the script a little bit based on what you're doing with those warm chat opportunities, conversational bookings, I call them. Cold leads who have won. I love this one because if you do have some jars or some old leads from a long time ago, then it's like, oh my gosh, I picked your name up as one of my winners. You know, I have one of the scripts, and I don't know, I haven't read this one recently, so I don't know if this one includes it. But one of the things you can do is say, you know what, my winner from 6 months ago, like if you guys, if you have old leads and you've been around a long time, there are still things that you can do with that. And so reaching out and saying, I've got our gift basket. They never came and picked it up. So I drew again and you're a winner, you know? So you can absolutely still work with reaching out to people, maybe people that you tried to book and it was back and forth. And that was 6 months ago or a year ago. And then it just never happened. Reach out to them again. Our lives change and our availability changes. Bonus referral script. And so this is Leah Carta's texting scripts that work absolutely phenomenally well. So those are some extras. Important things to remember. Overcoming objections. Okay, so this is really important. And I love that this is included in our workbook because remember, the way I say it, the way I really honestly view this is it's not overcoming an objection, it's overcoming an obstacle. And so I'm here to get you pampered. I am passionate about giving you the amazing services and products of Mary Kay. And so if you have an obstacle, I would love to help you overcome that obstacle. So if you're really busy, fantastic, because this is going to save you so much time and money. Think of me as your personal shopper. I'm here to save you time. Let me check with my friends first. Oh, I can appreciate that. However, why don't we go ahead and schedule something that works for both of us? And then we'll let your friends know. If we have to change it, we can. But those that can't come can schedule a different time, which is better for you at the beginning of the week or the end of the week. All right. So I said, there's no such thing as a time that works for everybody. So let's just figure out what works best for you and get that on there. And then we'll see who can come. And if nobody can come, we can always think about rescheduling. And they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So then what does that do? That also helps to plant the seed that she's going to have that first person that she calls and says, no, I can't. Well, I already told her she was going to have people that can't. So that's not going to throw her as much, right? I don't know anyone. I don't have any money. I use XYZ brand. I always love that one. Sometimes the people that are super loyal to high-end brands are like the toughest ones to book, but they always become my best customers. They're the easiest to convert because they know good quality product when they try it and they can't believe how affordable ours is compared to what they're using. And then they never leave me. So I love those. Last time I tried Mary Kay, my face fell off. Have you ever heard that? No, I broke out. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that you had that experience. May I ask how long it has been? And then, oh wow, what happened? I just ask questions. It's completely, I don't take offense to it. I ask questions. And you know what happens is so often when I do that, they're like, well, it was a long time ago, or yeah, and actually it was just this, I did find out recently, I found out later that I'm allergic to whatever, or they kind of talk themselves out, like it's so dramatic at first. And then when I just disarm and I'm like, oh, wow, really? What happened? How long ago was it? Sometimes I can tell. They'll say, well, oh, I used this. And like, well, what kind of skin do you have? And I'm like, honestly, it was consultant error. It was just an inexperienced consultant gave her the wrong product line for her. And instead of having that 2 + 2 + 2 follow-up, the woman just decided Mary Kay doesn't work for me. Right. And so the consultant maybe never even knew that the woman's face broke out. And so that follow-up is so important to make sure that we're getting it right. And then if she still says no, then there's an answer there. Tell you what, here's my number. If you ever change your mind, will you give me a call? So this is if they're like, I'm a hard no. Thank you, but I'm not interested. I don't ever want to use Mary Kay. Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time and your honesty. If anything changes, do you promise I'll be your first phone call? Because I would love to be your consultant. So I want her to feel really welcome, not to go to find somebody else, but to come back to me. Let's see here. And then this is the only booking script you'll ever need. So it's taking that anatomy, like what Cheryl has given us, and giving you everything that you need to be able to tweak it and customize it as needed. And then, yes, without a date scheduled follow-up. So a big challenge may be to take someone like from a yes to an actual date. All right. And so Cheryl did cover this, the importance of actually getting it on the calendar. So here is your pleasantly persistent, but not pushy script. And then you can check in 3 days later, following up, getting it on the calendar. And I definitely have had people who have rescheduled and rescheduled and rescheduled. And then when it finally came together, it was absolutely worth it. Maybe even became a team member. So don't be afraid to pursue the people who are just really busy, especially if they are the kind of people that you want to be around. Now, if it is somebody who's just not nice or they're flaky or they're whatever, you can release them. You can decide to value your time, and to release that. But a lot of times, really, I think we take it too personally and we give up way too soon for people that we would really have such a great opportunity to impact. Referral text booking script is also included. What if they say no? And what if they say yes? Referral text booking scripts continued. So everything you need is in this handbook. So we just wanted you to see that it's here. If they've ever tried Mary Kay, if they have tried Mary Kay, sending the address and like, these are the steps. And it's really good, like Cheryl mentioned too, having it a back and forth conversation. You do not want to just try to get all of the information to them in one text. You want to give them as little information really as you can to get them to that next step, and make it a conversation, just like if you were on the phone. The texting really needs to feel that it's back and forth. And then we have the full circle coaching. So now you've booked the party. Here is the checklist for you to track the coaching process of the party. And we're going to talk more about that in weeks to come. Okay. In fact, I think next week we talk a lot about, what to do. Now that you've booked the appointment, how do we coach? What do we do before? And so here's a great little checklist of what to do before and after the party. So that's what we're going to be learning in the weeks to come. And so just a couple of thoughts that I wrote down that I want to review with you as Cheryl was talking was, I wanted to share those statistics with you to make sure that you understand that it's not personal and you're not doing anything wrong if it takes up, 8 to 12 attempts to actually get that appointment held. And what Joyce is experiencing with she did it exactly right. She didn't take it as a cancellation. She took it as a reschedule. Great, let's reschedule. And she kept the ball in her court. And so we want there to be a back and forth communication, but keep in mind, this is your business. So it's like if I was dating, I'm going to throw the ball back in their court. And if they don't throw the ball back in my court, that is my clue and I'm out, right? Like it's a two-way communication. They need to want me as bad as I want them or more. But this isn't dating. This is business. I want them. I need to pursue them. And so it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to throw the ball back in their court, but I want it to bounce back at me. So I set myself up for success and not feeling like I'm bugging people by saying things like, great, if I don't hear from you in a couple of days, I'll just follow up with you, or when I'm warm chatting someone, I've learned it's much easier to book them on the spot. That used to intimidate the heck out of me. Now I love doing that. I like to book them right then and there. Oh my gosh, I'd love to. I'm getting their number and I'm like, in fact, what works better for you in general? What's better for you? Like weekend, Saturdays? Oh, okay. Saturdays, morning or afternoon? Oh, I have an opening at 2:00 this Saturday. And I love booking them on the spot. But if that does, either way, what I do is I say, great, I will reach out to you. I'm looking forward to contacting you, because what that does is it holds, I'm a woman of my word. So it does two things to me. One is it makes me accountable. Instead of just passively waiting to see who's going to book with me so that I can reach my goals and the life that I love, I am taking responsibility for that. The other thing that I love about that is when I call her, I'm not bugging her. I'm being a woman of my word. I'm just doing what I said I would do. So that's going to impress her. And it's not like I'm not the crazy Mary Kay lady that's bugging her. I said I was going to call, I'm calling. Does that make sense? And that's just the psychology of it for me, because I was always so afraid that I was bothering people. So I had to learn how to shift the script to asking the question and putting myself in the power of the next step. And you can play little games like, I'll reach out to you within 24 hours, but if you call me first, I'll have an extra goodie for you in your gift bag. Things like that. Like if you beat me, if you reach out to me before I reach out to you. So you can do fun stuff like that too. Does anybody have any, this is the other thing I want to say, fun, connecting it with last week. So you're going to create your weekly plan sheet and figure out when are you available to hold appointments. And then you're going to ask those questions to funnel people into your schedule. So like I don't hold appointments on Sundays. So I would say, during the week or the weekend. And if they said a weekend, I'd say, okay, great. I am available Saturdays. Do you like mornings or afternoons? If you are holding all of your appointments at your own home, then you don't offer to come to them. If you aren't holding them at your home, then you don't offer, then you don't offer for them to come to you. You get to decide. So if you want to give that choice, that's great. I've had seasons where I only booked parties at my house. And then I had seasons where I never booked parties at my house. And then I've had seasons where I offered them the choice. It depended on my life in that season. And so what you're able to do by creating that weekly plan sheet, that's why we covered that first, is so that you are designing the life for yourself. And then you are funneling people into those times. And so I wanted to share one other thing with you. And that is how I do this when I am going into massive action and I want to book a bunch of appointments. And this is the last thing I wanted to share with y'all, is for me, sometimes I needed to be able to look at a month. And so what I did is I have my general weekly plan sheet. And so I would know, I book my parties on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And so during this calendar, I had, I could do Mondays in the afternoon, Tuesday nights, Wednesday in the afternoon, Thursday night, Friday in the afternoon, and then 2 times on Saturdays. And so for me, this made it fun because what I did is notice all the pink blanks. So that let me know if it was in the middle, I knew that was a daytime appointment. And then at the bottom of the day, that was my nighttime appointments. And so my goal was to fill those highlights in for that month and to have at least 10 appointments on my books at all times. So that when I'm going into massive action, and so you're moving into, we're about to do our makeover contest, like we're wrapping up 60 faces, we're moving into this makeover contest. And so this might be a tool for you to be able to look at the month and be like, okay, I know that I want to do 30 faces this month. And in order to do that, I don't need to fill every single one of these times. Okay. I do not need to fill every single one of these times, but these are the times that I can do it. And I fill as many as I can because why? Because I'm going to have cancellations and postponements. So it's like, I learned to fill my schedule so much that I was like, when somebody canceled, I was like, oh, bummer. Okay, great. Well, let me just get you on next week. And I'm like, whew, because I need a break. And so that whole energy, it changes your whole energy when somebody needs to cancel or postpone. Because you're just like so booked up. You have more leads than you know what to do with, more parties than you can barely even imagine. And you might even decide to dovetail a party or two to your team member because you are so overbooked in such demand. And I definitely love to overbook my appointments at my house, because if both of them show up, it's a real party. But most of the time, only one of the two would, end up actually holding, because we're looking at a 50 to 60% tops. Like if you book 3, you're going to hold 1 or 2, and that is just normal. Okay. Okay. So any questions about this information of booking? And, I think, Cheryl, do you have the word of the week, or did I have that? It's in the Excel spreadsheet, but
let me look it up real quick. I will get it. Hold, please, while people come up with questions.
Any questions or aha moments that you want to share? Or Tanya or Cheryl, if you have anything to add?
Let me get that word. Hang on just a second.
No problem. Are you guys so excited about booking? Did that blow your mind? Anyone, this is the first time you've ever seen those statistics of like, I had no idea. I totally thought I was failing. And now I realize, okay, good, Jasmine. Yeah. It's like, I needed to hear that. I had been in this business a long time before I ever heard those statistics. And it just lifted this like glass ceiling of thoughts in my brain and helped me to shift to understand how to be a professional in the service and sales industry.
Absolutely. And I love understanding the fact that the ball is always in our court, that it's not dating, it's not equal, that to be pleasantly persistent and professional is to continue to reach out until that's a hard no. And that's just something that we learn, but people appreciate that so much, your professionalism and your follow-up, and they want to get together with you, but their lives are busy. So you just keep going, and you just keep going. So here's your secret word, you guys. Get ready to write this one down so you can turn it in next week. Your secret word is fortune. And why is it fortune? Because there is fortune in the follow-up. So fortune is your secret word.
Yes, I love that, because you can go out. I'm really great at meeting people, but y'all, I really had to build that muscle of follow-up. I really had to build that muscle of follow-up. And that's because I think I just was a people pleaser, and I'm very extroverted, but that doesn't necessarily, being an extrovert doesn't mean you're confident. And so I was just kind of used to like, if you want to hang out with me, ask me, because I don't want to ask you, because if you don't want to hang out with me, I don't want to like be awkward. And so I just like would let people come to me. And so it was a huge transition in my normal way of functioning as a human being. I'm really outgoing and I meet people, but I didn't pursue people because I was too shy. I was always the new girl, and I didn't want to bug anyone. And I didn't want that awkward. I didn't want to invite myself into someone's life. But wow, I think of all the opportunities that I probably have missed because of, I let that hold me back. And so no more, right? No more.
Right.
Excellent. Okay. So before we end our recording, any other thoughts or things that we want to add in our homework assignment? Let me give us our homework assignment. And it's in that, the homework checklist is, of course, set weekly bookings goal and execute with the booking bubble sheet. So you're going to want that handbook printed out, print out that handbook. But the main thing is we have given you the contact list and we have given you the bubble sheet, which reminds me. So going back to our IPA tracking, that's why this bubble sheet is here. So you can put it in one place so that each month you can track your bubble content. Sorry.
Bubbles are on the bottom. Yeah.
To the bubbles. This is the bubbles for your contacts. Okay. If you want to do it that way. And so it's really, this is where the massive action really is going to start to build that momentum. So getting that in place and setting your goal. And so we'll do that in our Voxer group. You can set the goal. And then, of course, filling out that IPA tracking sheet and just continuing to grow that contact list and scheduling those bookings. Awesome. Okay, ladies. Well, thank you so much. Stay on so we can do some recognition, but I'm going to stop our recording for now.